Well, Jonathan, new reaction from Hyundai after federal agents arrested nearly 500 illegal immigrants at its Georgia facility. The raid is ICE's largest single-site operation in history. Madison Scarpino is live in Savannah, Georgia with the very latest. And Madison, what exactly led up to this raid?
Well, Anita, officials say it was the result of a several months long investigation into illegal workers here, and the raid was extensive. This mega plant is huge. There are several different companies working on the site, subcontractors, and Hyundai says that no illegal immigrant arrested directly worked for the motor company, but it is now taking complete control of the mega site to make sure that all suppliers and contractors are following the law. The feds say a majority of the 475 arrested are South Korean. It comes as tensions over trade are already high between the U.S. and South Korea. The foreign ministry there is not happy about this raid, saying they are very concerned. But President Trump says ICE is just doing its job.
We want to get along with other countries, and we want to have a great, stable workforce. And we had, as I understand it, a lot of illegal aliens, some not the best of people, but we had a lot of illegal aliens working there.
This massive raid put a stop to construction of a factory where Hyundai partnered with LG Energy Solution to make electric vehicle batteries. It was chaos, law enforcement cars everywhere. Some workers were reportedly trying to flee. Georgia's governor has long touted this mega site and its role in the state's economy, but state Democrats are now saying this raid is ruining families, businesses, and the community. So Homeland Security says that all of the hundreds of illegal immigrants are currently being held in an ICE detention center about 2 hours south of here. Officials have not yet charged anyone with a crime.
All right, Madison Scarpino live in Savannah, Georgia for us this morning. Madison, thank you. All right, more now on the Sanctuary City crackdown sweeping the nation. Enforcement getting underway in Chicago this morning. And in Boston, the DOJ is suing over its Sanctuary City status. Attorney General Pam Bondi says the city enforces policies designed to undermine law enforcement and protect illegal aliens from justice. Boston Mayor Michelle Wu is not backing down. Former acting ICE Director John Sandweg is on now and to tell us where this fight is headed. John, thanks for joining us early this morning.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I want to ask you, so let's talk about this lawsuit by the DOJ against the city of Boston. The DOJ says the city is allowing for policies that limit police cooperation with civil immigration enforcement, and that is a violation of federal law. Now, as I said, the mayor there, Michelle Wu, she is pushing back. She's calling this authoritarianism, and she says that Boston is actually the safest city in America. I don't know if that's true, but that's what she's saying.
Yeah, Anita, there's two issues here. There's the legal issues and there's the political issues. The law is a really complicated area where you get into issues regarding state sovereignty, the 10th Amendment, and how much to the extent the federal government can compel state governments to cooperate with this immigration enforcement. On the other hand of the coin, though, the states can't obstruct federal enforcement. And in many ways, this legal kind of battle has been a stalemate. The states can restrict certain access to ICE, but they can't stop ICE from enforcing federal law in their jurisdictions. But you also have this political element, and where this really boils down to is the jails, right? Most of these sanctuary policies, where it really matters most for ICE is access to the jail. ICE wants to get into those jails and get criminal aliens while they're detained. It's safer, it's more efficient, it takes less officers. These sanctuary policies generally, and they vary, to be fair, Anita, some of them are mildly restrictive, some of them are incredibly restrictive, but they prevent ICE from getting into that jail. That's where the rubber meets the road on these fights. But politically, it seems hard to say, hey, we don't want undocumented immigrants, or we don't want to let ICE come into our jails and arrest undocumented immigrants who've committed serious crimes. And I think that's where that's why the administration, I think, is so interested in really highlighting this issue.
Yeah, it really begs the question why the mayor is so interested in protecting these people who are in jail for, supposedly heinous crimes. But that's the way it certainly looks. Let me move on, because Boston's mayor is not the only one who is defiant. In the city of Portland, Mayor Keith Wilson doubled down on its sanctuary policies while anti-ICE protesters clashed with police this week. So the question here, could Portland be one of the president's next targets? What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, look, this is going to the administration has been very vocal. They've identified all the state, local governments they believe are have sanctuary policies. But Anita, again, there are different levels of these sanctuary policies. So I want to be clear about that. Some of them are more, when I was at ICE, when I was at DHS, you'd have state police come to you and say, hey, we need you to lay off this population because, let's say, if word gets out that we're arresting every immigrant, they're going to stop cooperating with us. We're worried that people will stop calling and reporting crime. And to be fair, you do need the cooperation of immigrant communities, especially if you want those gang members. You need people inside the community who can identify them for you, can tip you off about their activities, who they are, where they're operating, things of that nature. But unfortunately, many of these sanctuary policies, the politics have kind of, eliminated common sense, right? And where we're saying, hey, someone is convicted of murder, we're not going to give you to ICE unless you have an active arrest warrant, a criminal arrest warrant for those, which normally in immigration enforcement you don't have. But again, I think, unfortunately, as always with immigration, the politics kind of takes over, and the politics on the left and candidly the politics on the right, to where we start seeing these kind of people start defying common sense. And instead of having law enforcement work together and what's best for public safety, we have politicians taking positions that really undermine the safety of their communities.
Yeah, it really is a sort of a catch-22 there. Here in Los Angeles, Democrats are opposing plans to construct a new Home Depot. The superstore has reportedly been the site of several ICE raids, as you know, across the nation as recently as last week. So what do you make of federal agents coming into these major workplaces and the reaction from the communities? I mean, a Home Depot would bring, thousands of jobs. It really provides a service to the community. They're talking about a location where there's a closed-up Macy's, and now there's opposition. What do you make of that?
Yeah, I don't understand why you're against Home Depot. I mean, I don't know that there's much that Home Depot can do about this. I will say this, Anita, I do have some concerns with some of the tactics that we've been seeing from ICE, in the sense that when you hit a Home Depot parking lot, the problem is you don't find your criminals there. It's different than the jails. I would like to see a little bit more emphasis put on those targeted operations we were seeing earlier in the Trump administration, where you're looking at who got away, you're doing these investigations to find the criminals, and you go out and get those individual criminals. The part of the problem here is ICE is under a lot of pressure to increase the numbers. And when you hit a Home Depot parking lot, you can round up a number of people there. Again, the question, though, is the quality of those arrests. Right. So I understand why there's frustration in the community. I understand why, all immigration enforcement is always controversial. And when I was at ICE, we faced a lot of protests and a lot of frustrations. But I will tell you, I'm not sure what Home Depot has to do with it. But I do get the larger point, which is I do think we need to be very smart to make sure we're keeping our focus on those gang members and on those serious criminals. And I worry that while our agents are out there hitting that Home Depot parking lot, getting the day laborers, maybe some of those criminals are, we're making it a little easier on them because we're not looking for them. Our attention's diverted.
Yeah, and in defense of Home Depot, they do say that they are not tipped off about these ICE facilities, and so their point is they don't have advanced warning of that.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, we have more detention facilities opening this week. Louisiana lockup at Angola Prison, deportation depot in northern Florida, and now a judge ruled Alligator Alcatraz can reopen in the Everglades. Just a quick answer here. Do you see a need to keep expanding?
They're going to expand quickly. And look, the administration got a lot of money in the big, beautiful bill. They want to get up to 100,000 detention beds. The only way to do that is to repurpose existing facilities. That means state, local, old prisons, jails. I would expect a lot more of this, and I would expect a lot more of temporary facilities being built up as the administration ramps up from 40,000 beds to 100,000 ICE beds.
Yeah, wow, that's a lot. All right, we will have more on the reopening of Alligator Alcatraz in the next hour with Florida's Lieutenant Governor Jay Collins. John Sandweg, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Hey, it's Will Kane. Click here to subscribe to the Fox News channel on YouTube. It's the best way to get our latest interviews and highlights. And click to subscribe to the Will Kane podcast for full episodes right now.